All right, hi everybody. John Meadows here with a special guest and co-owner of this home. It's my wife, Mary. You guys have been asking where she's at. She's still around. So what we're going to do today is a delicious and healthy, nutritious meal. Now, you guys have been making fun of me. The last video I made, I had eggshells in the eggs we were cooking, all kinds of stuff. I was scraping I was using a fork to scrape the pan. Everybody's giving me a hard time. Well, the truth is I'm not a very good cook. So I had to hire somebody that is a good cook. So Mary made this soup for me a while back, and I thought it was unbelievable. It's really good. Turns out it's really nutritious too. So for this meal, we're going to have a soup. I call it super soup, and we're going to also have chicken and sweet potato with it as well. But the soup is the kind of the kicker of this video. So we're going to start with the items that are in it. We're going to start with peppers, red, yellow, and green peppers. The red peppers they're not spicy, and actually that's actually where paprika comes from. Sometimes the ground up red peppers, but that red color in it is from the antioxidants that are in it. And the really good thing about these is they're loaded with vitamin C, particularly the red ones. They have more vitamin C actually than oranges or kiwis. Don't tell Jeff Nippert that. He's our friend. So super high in vitamin C. They're also very high in vitamin A. So this is ingredient number 1 for the soup. All right, next up we have cabbage. Cabbage is probably the most well known for always hear indole 3-carbanols is what we always hear in nutrition. And that is something that helps with, it's a particular metabolite of estrogen that's a good estrogen. Different metabolites of estrogen work differently. Some are cancerous, not good, some are good. This helps with that. So cabbage is next up. Sometimes you'll see like purple cabbages, and those have the same pigments in them, the flavonoid anthocyanin that you see in blueberries. So like when you see the dark colored berries, they're loaded with antioxidants. So when you see like a purple cabbage, that's what's in it. It's making it purple. But this is going in our soup as well. All right, next up we have canned tomatoes. I actually like the canned tomatoes better because when they can it, they actually put salt in it, which brings out more of the tomato flavor. In this case, we have fire roasted diced garlic, so diced tomatoes. Next up on our list is celery. So it turns out that back in the Roman days, wearing a celery necklace used to be a cure for a hangover. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to drink a lot of something after this and see if this actually works. I think later they said you actually had to drink the juice and not just wear the necklace. So we'll find out. Also, celery, very well known for helping with blood pressure. So that's next on our list. All right, now I just need vodka. Next up we have spinach. You probably want to get this one organic. A lot of times it's very pesticide heavy. A lot of vitamin K. Vitamin K is really cool. It activates a substance called osteocalcin. I think I'm saying that right. In your body that anchors calcium inside of your bones. So that's really cool for bone health. It has some other things too, but vitamin K is probably what I think is probably the most known for. So spinach. Next up we have onions. Very well known for their ability to kind of fight off cancer, antiviral, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, a lot of quercetin in onions, and it tastes pretty good cooked. I don't like them when they're raw like this, but I do like them cooked, so we're going to use onions. And next up we have carrots. As your parents probably taught you, that's good for your eyes, lutein and zeaxanthin. Those are carotenoids that are good for your eyes. Also, the cool thing about carrots is they're actually more, you actually get more nutrition out of them when you cook them. So cooking them makes them more, we'll say, bioavailable.
Our next 2 ingredients are V8 juice, and I like to use the spicy, and Lipton onion soup mix. This one is for flavor. This one is for flavor as well as I like to add juice because I like to eat it more as a soup instead of just side vegetables. So I like to have a lot more of the juice from the tomatoes and tomato juice. All right, so first we're going to get started. Just so the vegetables can start cooking, I'm going to go ahead and turn the burner on. And I'll just put it on low. And then we'll start chopping. And I just put it right here next to the pan. And it just depends on how long you want to cook it. The longer you cook it, the softer all the vegetables are going to get. So again, the size that you cut it, I'm cutting mine in probably like 1/2 inch increments. And I'm just using one small stalk of celery. Well, one bunch, not the individual stalk. And I go ahead and I use the leaves. I just cut off the end and I put those in there too. I mean, we're going to be adding the spinach leaves, so, and I just chop them, like I said, to about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch size. And I'm gonna go ahead and pop them in the pan so they can go ahead and start simmering on that low heat. And then I'm gonna cut up a pepper, and I probably use about 1/2 of each pepper. Certainly the size of your pan is gonna make a difference. Unfortunately, I have kind of a smaller pan here for making a big pot of soup. So again, I just sliced them all in little shredded pieces there, and then I'm gonna cut these like in 1/2 inch size. I guess if you like peppers, you can cut them in really big chunks and maybe get a better bite of that pepper. We'll put a few carrots in here. I'm not a big fan of carrots, so we'll just add a few for color and health benefits, but I don't really like carrots, so we'll just put a few in. But you can put in as many as you like. Okay, the next we'll use is cabbage. I already cut it in half and washed it off. This one doesn't look so great, so I think I'll get rid of a couple of the outsides of these. But then we're just gonna chop this up too. And then once I cut them into slices, I just cut them one by one. So I cut the cabbage so that it'll be like bite-sized pieces. Even though it will wilt once it cooks down, it still fits better. And because I already turned my burner on, I'm actually gonna throw in some some tomatoes. I'm gonna throw in some tomatoes that we already opened. So I'm actually going to put in another can, but I just want to put the first one in while it is starting to simmer in there. Okay, next ingredient is spinach. So we've already got the spinach and it's ready to go, ready for cooking or a salad. So I'm just gonna grab just a handful, put it in there. Looks like maybe I can put a little bit more in. And once my pot cooks down a little bit, I can add more spinach or more cabbage or just more veggies. This time we have standard yellow onions. A lot of times what I use when I'm making this is the sweet Vidalia onion, but any onion that you want is going to work. It's amazing how all of the flavors blend together. I am not a big pepper fan. I don't like green peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers typically, but in this soup, I really do enjoy them. Okay, so as you can see, our pot's pretty full here, but I'm still gonna add another can of tomatoes because, as I said, I like the tomatoes and I like all the juice that comes in the can of tomato. And I know the pot looks really full, but it'll cook down quite a bit. Then next, I'm gonna go ahead and put in the onion soup. Just use one package with this size pot. If you were making a bigger pot, you could add a second package. Just kind of sprinkle it around. I'm going to give it a stir in just a moment. And then, like I said, I like to use the V8 juice. And we bought the low sodium, and I like it spicy. So I'll just pour, I would say probably is about a cup. And then what I do with this after we cook is when we've reheated the soup, if all the juice starts to evaporate out, I just add more V8 juice and add maybe a little more tomato just to get everything mixed up a little bit. I'll turn the heat up here in just a moment, let it cook down for just a few minutes, and then I'll stir it again. It's going to be much easier to stir once the vegetables start getting softer. So we'll just put the lid on, turn up the heat a little bit. There we go. And we're going to get this to boil. So that should take about just a few minutes to start boiling, and then we'll let it cook for about 10 minutes. And then once it's boiled, you're ready to eat. And again, a lot of times what I do is I cook it earlier in the day, like whether we're gonna have it for lunch or dinner, I just cook it earlier in the day. And actually I just leave it on low and let it simmer as opposed to letting it boil. But because we wanna eat soon, we're gonna let it boil first, and then I'll just keep it on low until we're ready to eat.
So while our super soup is cooking, for our starchy carbs, we're going to use sweet potatoes, loaded with vitamin A, carotenoids, and all that good stuff. Mary wrapped these in, what was
Saran
it?
wrap.
Saran wrap. You can tell who does the cooking around here. And we're going to put these in the microwave for probably like 8 minutes. It just depends on how strong your microwave is, maybe 7, maybe 10 minutes. But this is going to be our carbohydrate source for the meal.
And now it's been about 5 minutes. The soup is boiling, and as you can see, it's cooked down. So I just want to get my ladle and make sure that soup flavor and the V8 juice and the tomato juice is just distributed throughout the soup. So we'll put the lid back on and let it cook a little longer.
For our protein source, we have chicken here, animal welfare certified. I'm not sure if that actually means anything. Hopefully it does. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So we got some good organic chicken here. Now we're going to cook it in avocado oil. Avocado oil it's very rich in monounsaturated fats, you know, those heart healthy fats that people talk about. But it's also stable in higher heat. Not that we're going to cook this on real high heat, but I like to use oils or fats that can stand up to high heat for health reasons. So avocado oil is an excellent oil. Also with avocado oil, it's obviously a fat, and if you notice when we were talking about the soup, all the foods that were going in there, we kept mentioning vitamin A, vitamin C, we even mentioned vitamin K for the spinach. Those are fat soluble vitamins, so you need to have some fat with the meal to properly absorb those vitamins. So that's another benefit of having avocado oil. It's a fat that's going to help those nutrients absorb into your body better.
All right, so now we're going to add a little oil to the pan. Let's see, what is that, maybe a couple tablespoons? Not really sure. Like I said, I kind of don't measure things, I just cook. So now, again, like my trusty scissors, so I'm gonna open up our chicken. And I usually just take my first piece and kind of scoop my oil around if the pan hasn't heated up enough to distribute the oil. So these are kind of nice. They're already filleted. Might be a little quicker cooking time since they're not quite as thick. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on, and then I'll let them cook a little bit, and then we'll start adding some seasoning to it. Okay, so we hear the chicken sizzling a little bit. So now we're going to add some seasoning on here. Just have a little bit of sea salt. And again, I don't measure anything, so I just kind of put a light coating on the side. And then I really like garlic, and of course garlic is good for you as well. So again, I just coat it lightly. And part of the reason I only coat it lightly is because I'm actually going to coat the other side as well when I flip it. And then here's another couple favorites, onion and herb and garlic and herb. So since I've got garlic powder, we'll go ahead and use some of the onion and herb on it. And I like it because it adds a little more color to the chicken. So now we have flavor and a little more color. So I'll put the lid back on. Usually what I do is I cook it on a low to medium heat for about 5 minutes. And then I'll flip the chicken over and cook it for about 5 minutes on the other side as well. And while we've got the chicken going, I'll go ahead and check our soup, see how that's doing. That's cooking down really well. Smells delicious. Looks delicious. And if it doesn't look the way that you want it to, it looks like something missing, if you want more red peppers or more yellow peppers, just go ahead and cut them up and pop them in there and keep on cooking it. It's been 5 minutes, so we're gonna flip our chicken and add some more seasoning to the other side.
All right, so we got our meal ready to go, thanks to my awesome wife. Now, you may just want to eat the soup just in a bowl like this, but what I like to do is I actually like to put the chicken in it. So I slide the chicken in there, and then I mix it up, and the chicken just, that flavor is so good on the chicken. So this is how I like to eat it. Again, you could eat it separate. So then if I get a bite, I get a nice chunk of chicken, I get some veggies too. Really, really good. Really good. Super tender. Excellent. So make sure you cook this up, try it. I think if you try this, you're going to be really, really happy. So we appreciate you watching. Thanks for Mary and myself. We have plenty more healthy foods coming up in this healthy food series. So stay tuned. And again, thanks for all your support.